Welcome to MMA Play 365. I'm Newsome and I'm here to give you a Base AI recap from our UFC prediction software from last weekend at UFC 279. And we're going to break this down in a little bit of a different way. This week, we're talking all about the dogs, all about the underdogs. Base AI picked a number of underdogs, including it favored the biggest underdog that is ever accurately predicted since we started Base AI and created the UFC prediction software. So I can't wait to break that down. But again, we're talking all about the underdogs here. And let's get straight to it. The first underdog we're going to talk about is actually one of my only official bet from last weekend, as the Holland and Rodriguez fight fell through. So the only bet that I had, he was also the handicapper dog of the week as well, which, quick promo, by the way, $1.99 at the MMAPlay365 store. It gets you the handicapper dog of the week and the Base AI dog of the week, and you get your money back if both of those dogs lose anyway. So yeah, this underdog was my underdog, and it cashed. Yohan Lainesse versus Darian Weeks. Lainesse to win, 57%. Odds implied, that's minus 133. And you could have got plus 110, plus 115. I got plus 112 in the middle of that. So depending on when you actually bet that fight, and if you left it a little bit, you would have been ended up with plus 100 or plus 105. Either way, compared to your minus 133 odds implied, there's a lot of value there. It was a close fight. I did think the right fighter won. I did think Lainesse had an off night, though. I think he went too far the opposite way from being a fighter that overloads and tires out. And I said that in my breakdown, that if he fixes that, which I think he will, he'll become a more efficient fighter. And he did fix that, but he went completely the other way, where he was almost at some points a little bit gun shy, but he did, in my opinion, do just enough. But at 57%, like I said, you've got a ton of value there, and it was a winning ticket. Also, the next fight, Macy, Chasson versus Irene, Aldana. Now, I kind of feel that Aldana, and anybody that bet Aldana, probably got away with one here, in my opinion, because Aldana finished the fight with the first ever up kick to the liver, which is insane. Like, if people don't know, as a striker myself, how hard it is to actually hit that liver when you're striking, when you've got more time to make reads and you're looking at things, how hard it is to hit that liver is insane. But to do it with an up kick is just crazy. But the reason why I think they kind of got away with one there is because Aldana smoked the first round 10-8, then I scored the second round 10-8 to Chasson. But then Chasson started that third round the better fighter, the more active fighter. She got that takedown, and if it wasn't for the fact of her standing back up, she likely wouldn't have got kicked with that up kick to the liver. It seems crazy saying that every time. And it did look like the fight was flowing towards Macy Chasson, is what I'm trying to say. So we never know what's going to happen. If that up kick didn't land and it didn't finish Chasson, we never know what's going to happen in the rest of that final round. But it did seem like the fight was trending towards Chasson. And you look at Macy Chasson, the AI actually had her favoured at 58%. Odds implied, that's minus 138, and you could have got around minus 160 on her. So although the ticket hadn't cashed, that was the right side to bet, especially at plus 160. It definitely didn't look like Aldana was the right side to bet as a moderate favourite. And even Chasson by decision, because again, that's where the fight was trending. Chasson by decision was 34%. Odds implied, that's minus 194. That would have been a plus 300 ticket. Again, I know these tickets didn't cash because she lost, but like I said, the reason why I'm mentioning it is because of the value, because of Base AI said that Aldana should not be a favourite in this fight, or even anywhere close to being that moderate favourite that she was, and that Chasson should have been favoured. And it actually looked like that when it all was said and done as well. So again, for me, Base AI, it's got a good read, but man, you can't account for, even as a human, you can't account for an up kick to the liver KO, never mind from an AI perspective. So yeah, for me, that was more solid value that just didn't play out in the end. Now, into the next decent dog and the breakdown. So Denis Tiuliulin versus Jamie Pickett. So the AI had Tiuliulin to win at 54%, minus 117 odds implied. But you could have got Tiuliulin anywhere from plus 110 to plus 150, depending on where you bet him. He opened at around plus 155, so he dropped and dropped and dropped, but still did close the underdog. Talulah to win inside the distance, though, 43%. That's plus 133. That's your knockout and submission added together. You could have got plus 285 on Tiuliulin to win inside the distance. And considering this guy's a forward pressure, in your face, winging bombs type of fighter that's kill or be killed, you get yourself a pretty good chance of Denis Talulah knocking your opponent out, which is exactly what he did with Pickett. So again, you've got Tiuliulin win. You've got a lot of value there, minus 117 to your plus 110, plus 150, and anything in between that. And then Tiuliulin to win inside the distance, plus 133, and you're getting plus 285. There's a lot of value there. However, we can take that one step further. Tiuliulin KO, TKO, 38%. Odds implied plus 163. Plus 350 on the betting line, and that's where the biggest value is, because Tiuliulin doesn't really secure many submissions. So if he was finishing the fight, it was always more than likely to be from a KO perspective. So that's where the ultimate value was. The plus 350 ticket that the AI is saying should only be plus 163. A ton of value there. And we get to our final fighter to talk about, and this is the big one. And it's the big one for a reason, for a couple of reasons. But one of the reasons is when I first saw this prediction from Base AI in the MMAPlay365 betting hub, I almost chalked this down in the podcast setup that I prepare as a fight that's going in the bad losses section. So for those that are new to this Base AI recap, every now and again, there will be a fight that Base AI predicts that I look at and think, no, that's massively off. And then the fight plays out that way. And then I categorize it as a bad loss prediction. Now, that doesn't happen all the time. It is every so often. And it is normally only one fight in that card if it does happen. There isn't one for this card, by the way. So this is why I'm explaining this. There isn't one for this card. So I almost chalked this fight down as a bad loss. I looked at it, I thought, yeah, that's not going to happen. And I think the AI's got that massively wrong. But unbeknown to me, it was me that was completely wrong, and it had no right in going into that bad losses section. And of course, we're talking about Huggy Bear, Chris Barnett versus Jake Collier. Now, the AI favoured Chris Barnett ever so slightly at 50.24%, so it's almost a coin flip. And even if you want to argue, well, that percentage isn't very high, how can you be shouting about that? Well, it's simple. Huggy Bear, Chris Barnett, was plus 400. He was a 4-1 underdog. His opponent was minus 500. His opponent was a 5-1 favourite. And the fact that if you look at this as a coin flip, you've got a coin and you flip the coin and one of those sides is paying you 4-1, then you're taking that side. You know, that's why, although the percentage isn't high, it's high when you compare it to what the bookies were saying. Like, odds implied at 50.24% is minus 101, so you've got a minus in front of that number. He was plus 400, and the insane value just on that money line alone is absolutely crazy. But then you take it in even further. You look at Chris Barnett inside the distance, KO and submission added together. You're looking at 38%, plus 163 on the betting line. You're getting plus 650 on the betting line. Sorry, odds implied. I'm getting too excited even talking about this. Odds implied was plus 163. You're getting plus 650 on the betting line. So you've got a ton of value there. Huggy Bear hardly ever goes to a decision. So there was value there. But then if you wanted to get that even more value out of it, Huggy Bear, Chris Barnett to win by a KO, TKO, 46%. Bear in mind, he's never had a submission. So if you are going to take a method of victory, you would probably go with KO over inside the distance. Plus 170, that gives you odds implied at 46% probability. That ticket was plus 750. So whichever way you look at this fight, the plus 750 on the KO, the 650 on win inside the distance, the plus 400 on just an outright win where anything could happen. And even if Barnett had lost that fight, he was game enough to even make sure that Base AI was like, yeah, Base AI was basically saying this fight should not be that wide. Barnett, if anything, should be very slightly favoured. And like I say, even if Barnett had lost that fight in the end, if Collier had survived, come back into the fight and beaten Barnett, and still the AI was right in what it was saying, that the line shouldn't have been that wide, but Barnett ended up winning anyway. And like I said, I was about to chalk this off into the bad losses section the second I saw it, and proved me wrong, proved a lot of people wrong. Didn't prove Huggy Bear wrong though, was confident throughout. So that's the Base AI recap for last weekend at UFC 279. 15 fights next week for UFC Vegas 60. You can get all that on the MMAPlay365 website. Every single prediction from every single fight from Base AI. It's $4.99 for one event. Sign up monthly for $10 a month. Sign up for the year for just $100. Whatever you want to do. But you also get my betting advice inside of that as well. So my recommended bets, all the extensive written breakdowns, the fun parlays, the official bets where my money's physically going. So you get a ton of value there for a bit of everything. So make sure you check that out for this weekend at UFC Vegas 60. I'm Newsome. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again next week.